Hello, my name is Lee. I'll be your art instructor for today, and what I'll be teaching you is how to draw a unicorn face. So if you can see here, I already have a sketch example to show you, and from here I'm going to be teaching you a step-by-step process. So we'll be building a wireframe, which I'm going to show you an example here. So it's like a bunch of shapes put together to create our character. So from here, what I want you to do is you can grab a piece of paper, or if you're drawing on your tablet, get a canvas going. And the first thing that I want you to do is to draw an oval. So a pretty big oval, because we're just focusing on the face. So this is going to be for our head. And our next phase, which will be creating the snout of our horse, is going to be drawing a line that's coming down at a slant like this. Think of it almost like a hill. And if you notice, I'm kind of meeting somewhat to the bottom level here of our oval. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle. So it's going to be like front of the snout where the nostrils will be. And from here we'll be drawing a flat line because we are creating our jaw. And what I'm doing here, it's going to almost look like a corner. I'm going to draw this. So this will be like our jawline for the horse. Unicorn. Well, unicorns are basically horses with horns. Ignore that. So, anyways, we'll be putting our guidelines for the face. So I did a couple guidelines, if you notice on my wireframe example. I did an eye line here, and my nose line, or pretty much my mouth line here. Actually, it's just nose line. So from there, we have our guidelines, and a good key thing is because I'm making these lines and shapes, it's helping me know where to place certain body parts. So with horses, unlike us being human and other animals like dogs and cats, their eyes are more up at the front, but with horses, so they have their eyes on the sides. I'm going to just draw kind of an oval here. And I want you guys to make sure to draw these very lightly because this is our wireframe. So, so once we have that, we'll be creating the neck of our unicorn. So it's pretty much similar to like how we did with the snout. So it's just a line coming down here. It's a long line. And I'm just going to draw a portion of my horse. Do it again. Horse, unicorn, unihorse. It's a unihorse now. I'm going to draw a bit of the body here, just because why not? And from there, because we have our neck, so I'm going to be drawing the rest of the neck here. Yes, that is a thick neck. Don't know why I'm drawing the line there, but that is pretty much our horse head here with the thick neck. I'm actually going to just do some adjustments. If you notice, a lot of artists tend to do that on the way when it comes to drawing their wireframe, so just adjusting a bit of my body here, and I'm just going to leave it as that because we're focusing on the face. So another thing to add, which is pretty important, is the ears. So the ears are actually resting on top. Think of it kind of like a leaf-like shape. Horses have small yet slightly big ears, kind of like a rabbit, but we don't want to make them too long. So you see I'm just adjusting a little bit here and there. And another important thing is the horn. So what I usually do, like with horns, I'm just going to show you an example on the side. So, I got like my oval, and then I'm going to draw a line. And from this line, I'm just going to meet down. That's probably a little fat for a horn, but basically I'm just making a cone shape. we don't want to do like, that was bad, but that was this one here is more of a flat triangle, and this one's more of a cone. There's depth to it, there's shape, and we don't want to give our unicorn a flimsy paper thin horn here. Now, if it was like a full-on side profile, then yeah, it would probably look more flat base, but even so, it's important to add depth to it. But carrying on, so I'm just gonna kind of dim down my layer a bit because I'm not doing traditional. So for you guys, make sure that your wireframe is drawn very lightly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer. If any of you guys are doing digitally, so I'm going to start adding in my details. So for the eye of my horse, now yes, it is more like an oval. Now I'm kind of shaping it like a diamond because, like us, they have eyelids. If you want, you could give them lashes. Horses do have lashes, so unicorns can have that too. And I'm just keeping it simple. I'm doing more of a realistic touch, so if you can see here, I am leaving kind of a shine mark. So it's just a little white dot. So what you do is just draw like a little small oval, and then that whole area here, the eye, just shaded in black. So that's just one eye, and I mean that's the only eye that we see. So I'll just be drawing a little kind of a detail here. So they have like this little brow line, not an eyebrow, but it's just the little detail there. That's part of their anatomy, their skull. Because they also have another sort of a bump here. So you notice it kind of starts from my eye line. And because I'm on a new layer, I'm just like fine lining some areas here and there, such as like on the snout. I'm just gonna kind of dark line this here. And what I'm doing is I'm also shaping the snout, so the nostrils actually. And the nostrils are pretty big and round. If you really think about it, just it's almost like an upside down U. Now don't make it too big. I mean, you could make it a little big or a little small, depending on the detail. It doesn't have to be a realistic horse nostril. You could do a different sort of nose. You could do more of like a reptile, like a lizard, or a dog nose, because the fun thing about unicorns is that they're fantasy-based creatures, so you can draw them however way you want. I mean, they are just a fantasy creature with one horn, and there's many different depictions. But I'd say carefully think that at most they're more like a horse. So from here, I'm going to be drawing the lips of my horse. And if you look at it carefully, I am shaping the lips. I am not outlining the circle here. I'm just making my mouth as so. And as one says, horses have long face, and their mouths are actually pretty small. They're not, I mean, they can get big if they like, neigh and make a lot of noises. I mean, I guess you could give your unicorn an alligator mouth if you want to be that sort of thing, but I'm just going more with the horse anatomy. So if you notice, I am not fully outlining where I've drawn my jawline here. So they do have this little detail, so I'm just going to do little specks of lines here. Kind of clean them up a bit. I don't want to do too much to make it look like it has a sideburn. It's going to live with that now. But I'm just shaping the cheek of my horse. keep calling this unicorn horse. I don't know why I'm doing that. That's just what it is. But so I'm just outlining, kind of shaping my cheek. I'm not gonna keep it super smooth. And from there, I'm just gonna add some little details. So just want to add like fine details of the snout here. Don't want to make it look flat, so just add some little lines here and there. And now that I got my face, I can just shape out the neck, which really doesn't have any change, except I need to make this neck look not too long. So again, just making some adjustments here and there. And that is okay. It's just slight adjustments. Unless you are happy with the outcome of the body, you can keep it as so. As for me, I am just fixing. Just gonna rotate because I can. So I'm just shaping my neck. And just like our face here, I'm gonna do so because they have muscles, so kind of like our necks, there is that little neck detail. And from there, that's our unicorn body without the ears. But getting to the ears actually, so the ears are pretty simple. Unlike our ears, I always joke around that the earlobe kind of looks like a question mark in some ways. If you're doing more of an anime-like style. But for horses' ears, they're actually, you're just doing the edges, so it's almost like you're drawing a smaller leaf inside. So it looks like that if it's facing towards us. As for this other ear, it's a little different, so see the lobe kind of like this. It's still following that same shape that we did before for our ear. So the next thing, which is probably the most important thing, is the unicorn horn. So as I said before, I did more of a cone shape. So I'm going to be placing that oval. This is the base of my horn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line like this. So that's my wire for the horn. And from there, I'm just creating my horn. I'm just going to rotate again. You can do this with your paper too. Just because I'm doing it digitally doesn't mean you can't rotate your paper. Do that, because that makes things a lot easier for the hands. But I mean, if you're too cool for that, fine. But if you notice, I am erasing what is inside because we do not need that anymore. And interesting enough, there's many ways you can go with your horn. In the original face sketch, I did more kind of like a twist. It's got a twisty sort of look, like a narwhal almost. And you can do that. So the important thing is, because I'm going to show you just a little bit up close. So I'm just kind of erasing. You want to make sure these are round, like rings almost. We don't want it to make it look flat, because that's a nice realistic touch. But if you're going with a simple approach, you can leave it as flat lines. There's really no wrong for you to do that. You can also just keep the horn simple with no lines. Or you could just, go crazy with it, go ham. You could add like a bunch of spikes. You could add something on there, a donut. You can hang a donut on the horn. I don't know why a donut. Just do a donut. I'm forcing you to do the donut, and I am not doing the donut. But anyways, we are horn done, and we're going to be doing the mane. So my mane, for the example, is more flowing in the back, and this is actually probably keep in mind when doing hair, because hair can be tricky. But what I think when I want my hair to be posed a certain way is that you have to think of the direction of the wind. So um, think of it like going like this, like that is your wind blowing by. And you have to think like with your hair, how do you want it shaped? Because sometimes hair, I'm just going to draw a strand. See, it's following that flow of the line, and it just looks like a V. It's curving to the side. But you can always just do something like, I don't know if anybody even watches My Little Pony anymore, like Twilight Sparkle's hair. Hers is more flat at the end, so you could do something like that. Or you could just do something toony. I know this unicorn looks a little bit more realistic, but if you do more like rounded tips, probably even way work for like maybe a feathery sort of mane, like a bird, which I think that would probably be cool to add for your unicorn. But it's totally up to you if you want to do that or not. But I'm just going to do regular horsehair because that's what I originally did. So I'm just going to start with my bangs, because the interesting part for the hairline of our horse is literally like the back of their neck, kind of along their spine. But they do have bangs that just kind of flap over to the side. And if you notice, I'm keeping some portions a bit thinner, thicker, or shorter. It's always good to vary on the lengths because it gives it, a nice sort of realistic look. If you want to keep it a little bit more simplified or maybe less of that, that's totally fine too. I'm just kind of going for the free sort of messy look. So if you notice, I'm just going with like, how the wind blows. Like there's my arrow again, just tell me like, okay, this is how my hair is going to flow. And sometimes there's going to be some bits that's just relaxing. They'll be resting on the back of my horse. And because it is flowing, why not I just add some stray strands that's kind of fraying from the horse's mane. And because this is more of a realistic approach, not entirely, more, I guess, anime sort of style, but I'm adding in some detail lines here, which either way, if you're doing cartoon style or anime or even realism, of course, with realism you would add way more detail to it. But even just adding simple lines like this just gives a realistic approach to your unicorn. And from there, just going to erase that line and turn off my sketch layer. So here is my unicorn. I'm just going to add some lines here and there for detail. And from there you have your unicorn. And you could add more to it. You don't have to just keep it as simple as from there. So if you want to give it something cool, I'm going to do something a little different from my original unicorn. Maybe he's got some scaly plates here, kind of like a crocodile. Maybe even some here above his eye. And I don't know, maybe I want to give him a little beard or something. I mean, the power is yours with what you can do with a unicorn. It doesn't have to be a legitimate, stereotypical unicorn. It could be a, I don't know, wise dragon unicorn guy who, I don't know, shoots flames out of his nostrils. Basically, he's just a dragon, but with one horn and fabulous hair. And he sparkles a lot because unicorns have to sparkle a lot. But you can pretty much do anything. You don't have to do what I just did, and if you want to give them little cool accessories, or like sunglasses, or tattoos, clothes, whatever you want, you can do whatever. I'm just giving them scales because I just think that it's cool. But pretty much from there, that is our unicorn face. If you notice, because not every artist is perfect, this is just a key reminder. Not good with my English, I'm so sorry. But if you notice in the original sketch, my unicorn looks a little more different than the unicorn that we just did together. So that tends to happen time to time. Now I would say, like, okay, if I have drawn this horse face like a million times with you, then surely it would look exactly like this. But if it's your first time doing a unicorn with me, just letting you know, I really barely do horses, but I decided to give it a shot because horses are pretty fun to draw. But don't ever feel bad if you feel that your horse didn't come out perfectly, because with the amount of practice and time that you put with your art, you could, bring out really good results, such, as this. This one right here is more, I used a reference, a photo of a horse, and just follow along with their anatomy, and I did some changes. Does it look exactly like the photo of the horse that I draw from? No, not exactly. Mine is more anime. And now the one that we did was more dragon. I'm gonna add one last thing. He's gonna have a tusk, like some warthog. He is a warthog dragon unicorn that shoots flames out of his nose. But other than that, I hope that you guys enjoyed the lesson of drawing your either super fabulous or super cool unicorn character. Well, why am I pausing? But other than that, just make sure with you guys, if you're doing this in pencil, please get out like a Sharpie or some inking pen of sorts and ink it up and give it some color. It's always nice to do like a sketch piece for fun, but sometimes testing out in color is really good too. So please do that. And I shall see you guys next time with another lesson.